Watch, sponsored by Anglian Home Improvements.
Generally, it's low pollution in the Anglia region today, although ozone levels did climb to moderate yesterday and may reach high today. A north-south split on the sunshine. More cloud in the north means a lower UV index of 5. In the south, it's 6. 6 means a high risk of sunburn for fair skin. You could burn in about half an hour. And the pollen count today is expected to be moderate in the eastern counties.
Air Watch, sponsored by Anglian Home Improvements.
This is Anglia Television.
Hello, good morning. Police have arrested 24 people and launched a murder inquiry after a man was found dying by a roundabout in Colchester last night. The man was discovered with serious head injuries by the Middleborough roundabout near the town centre at around 2 in the morning. He was taken by ambulance to Colchester General Hospital but died 2 hours later. Essex police recovered various weapons at the scene and a damaged car they think had been involved in a collision. 24 people from Essex and East London have now been arrested in connection with the death. There have been traffic delays in Norwich this morning because of a major operation to move 4 giant oil tankers. Traffic lights had to be moved, phone and power cables had to be taken down and trees cut back to clear the route. Graham Lewis reports.
On the move, but very slowly, these giant oil tanks were this morning on a journey to the new Norfolk Norwich Hospital at Colney Lane. Lying on their sides on the lorries, the tanks are more than 12 metres high, dwarfing cars and other traffic on the streets of Norwich. The first 2 tanks started their journey at 4 this morning.
One of the problems with routing this load was it's so tall that it cannot get under any bridges. So we had to find a route where there's no bridges available. There's no weight involved because the tanks are actually empty fuel tanks. So they're no more heavier than any other lorry. They're just wide and tall.
Because of the size of the tanks, 2 men had to stand on scaffolding on the first lorry to cut overhanging branches from trees.
Just slow process of clearing the trees as we go to stop the tanks getting scratched, etc, etc. But it's only just light debris off the trees anyway, just some growth, that's all.
It meant the convoy travelled at less than a mile an hour. Telephone engineers were also on hand.
If the load is too big, then what we'll have to do is go up the pole and undo the bolts and push the drop wire or the aerial cable up a bit higher so the old load can get underneath it.
Some of the wires had to be taken down while others were lifted out of the way. A number of homes had their electricity cut off so the power cables could be safely lifted away from the load. The tanks travelled in 2 convoys. The first arrived at the hospital around 10 o'clock this morning. However, the second pair of tanks caused heavy delays in places as they travelled around the Norwich Ring Road. Traffic lights on Boundary Road had to be moved to make way for the convoy. Each of the oil tanks will hold 190,000 litres of oil. It'll be used to feed the heating boilers and standby generators at the new hospital. Graham Lewis, Anglia News, Norwich.
As the school summer holidays get underway, safety experts have underlined their warning to parents of young children following 2 tragedies in the region. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents says during the holidays, ponds, baths, barrels and buckets, or anything else that holds water, should be kept covered at all times. David Woodthorpe reports.
Last week, 6-year-old Joe Reevy drowned when a family night out at a riverside pub near Harlow ended in tragedy. His death came just a week after 18-month-old Ben Lanchbury's body was found in a neighbour's pond after he disappeared from a house at North Pickenham in Norfolk. ROSPA says accidental drownings involving under-10s nationwide have already reached 40 so far this year. It fears that, if the warning is ignored, the holiday combined with hot weather could increase the death toll. David Woodthorpe, Anglia News.
Thousands of people turned out to cheer on the Colchester Carnival procession yesterday evening. More than 90 floats made it the largest street parade outside of London. There were carnival queens from across the area and a break with tradition, even a carnival king from Colchester itself. Fancy dress dancers and marching bands were all well represented in the parade. Money raised from street collections is to go to local charities. A Suffolk museum has a new addition to its complement. The HMS Ganges Museum has just taken delivery of a 7-foot replica of its namesake. The vessel, accurate down to the smallest detail, took nearly 2,000 hours to build. It's the gift of Cliff Boyden, who once served at HMS Ganges at Shotley near Ipswich, which closed in 1976. Well, finally, if you go down to the Fens today, you're sure to be in for a surprise. The Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust at Wellesley in Norfolk is staging a special Discovering Dragonflies Day. There's a trail through the nature reserve for spotting the giants of the insect world and their close relative, the damselflies. That's all for now. We're back at 25 to 7. Until then, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Temperatures unlikely to reach the giddy heights of yesterday, with a bit of a north-south split in the Anglia region today. Cloud is moving down from the north with cooler air. Still lots of sunshine further south, but overall today will be cloudier than yesterday. Here's the culprit. It's a weak cold front straddled across the country. No rain, but there is more cloud, and it's moved a bit further south by tomorrow lunchtime. High pressure, though, still in charge, so largely dry, but we may see more in the way of cloud moving into the region off the North Sea. This afternoon, though, well, partly cloudy skies in the north, so it should brighten up there as the day progresses. The south should remain bright with further sunny spells or longer periods of sunshine, and that's where the highest temperatures will be, up to 26 degrees Celsius, 79 Fahrenheit. And tonight will be rather cloudy across the region, but it will stay dry. It will be a more comfortable night than it was last night. Temperatures down to 12 or 13, the mid-50s Fahrenheit. And it's a generally settled picture across the UK tomorrow, with long sunny periods in places. Not so good down the eastern side, though, where there will be cool breezes off the sea. So in the Anglia region, we expect it to start rather cloudy, but sunny spells should develop as the morning progresses, with light to moderate northeasterly winds. It'll be cooler and fresher, and those winds could sweep clouds into areas nearest the coast, while inland it should stay sunny, 22 or 23 degrees. That's it. Here's the summary. Today is going to have some sunny spells. Tonight, rather cloudy but dry. And tomorrow, sunny spells inland.
Anglia and Sun Life, helping you plan for tomorrow.
You're watching Anglia Television.
Good afternoon. The Home Secretary has revealed new plans to curb political funding by tax exiles. Jack Straw says he wants a £5,000 ceiling on donations from people who live in Britain for fewer than 90 days a year. His comments come in the wake of the row over the Tory Treasurer Michael Ashcroft, who's based in Belize. But Mr Straw insists the rules are not directed at individuals. Harry Smith reports.
The government insists its proposals on the funding of political parties are not aimed at any one individual, but the effect would be to restrict the amount the Conservatives could receive from one of their biggest donors. Michael Ashcroft, the Tories' treasurer, would be affected by a clause that curbs donations from agents of a foreign government. Mr Ashcroft has dual nationality with large business interests in Belize and is that country's ambassador to the United Nations. The new legislation, based on the recommendations of the Neil Committee, will be laid before Parliament on Tuesday.
There were plainly major disadvantages in having people abroad without any connection with this country making donations to political parties here, and that will be banned. We also believe in transparency, so that the larger donors, typically above £5,000, will have their names disclosed.
But one Conservative said the move was clearly partisan.
It rather reinforces the sense that the Labour Party have been engaged with others in a vendetta against Michael Ashcroft, and perhaps even have done so with a view to seeking to influence the situation before they bring forward legislation.
For the Tory leadership, it's all an unwelcome distraction. Privately, Conservatives admit the controversy over Mr Ashcroft harmed their campaign in the recent Eddisbury by-election. Harry Smith, ITN.
Harry, another issue this week will be the cabinet reshuffle. What can you tell us about that?
Well, as is always the case in situations like this, Mark, we know little but speculate a great deal. There's really only one person who has a clear idea what's going to happen in the reshuffle. That's the Prime Minister. He's not actually here at the moment. He's travelling down from his constituency, but he'll arrive here shortly. I expect he'll go straight in and get straight down to work, putting the finishing touches to his reshuffle. As I say, we speculate a great deal. Among the ministers who are thought likely to be on the move, we have Mo Molan, Frank Dobson, Jack Cunningham and Margaret Beckett. Of the ministers who are likely to be promoted or brought back into the cabinet, all the attention there is focused on Peter Mandelson. The Prime Minister has made no secret of the fact that he would like to see Peter Mandelson back in the Cabinet. He said as much when Mr Mandelson resigned over that home loans row. But the big question, is it time? Has enough time passed for him to come back in?
And Harry, when can we expect the decisions to be announced?
It could really be any day this week. I think Monday is unlikely, because tomorrow the government publishes its annual report to the nation, rather like a company publishes its annual report to shareholders. I don't think the Prime Minister would want a reshuffle to distract from that at all. Now, we've already had one minister let slip that it's Tuesday. Downing Street, of course, says no minister other than the Prime Minister knows exactly which day, but I would guess that Tuesday is the most likely.
Thank you, Harry. Students are being told they will get their loan checks on time despite computer glitches in the system which processes the payments. The Department for Education admits there have been initial problems with the new computer software. It comes just weeks after a crisis in the Passport Agency computer system, which caused chaos for holidaymakers. A service has been held in Kosovo for the 14 Serb farmers murdered as they worked in their field. Dozens of Serbs attended the church close to the scene of Friday night's massacre, which happened in Gračo near Pristina. Serbian residents are accusing peacekeeping troops of failing to protect their community against Albanian attack. A short time ago, the commander of the NATO peacekeeping force, General Sir Mike Jackson, said that protection had been offered to the farmers for the following day, but they didn't wait.
Those who committed that brutal act will be pursued, and we are doing that with great energy now, and when found, brought to justice.
Tens of thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets of Serbia to demand the resignation of President Slobodan Milosevic. It's the biggest anti-government protest in Serbia since NATO halted its bombing campaign. Here's Terry Lloyd.
25,000 protesters took to the streets in the southern city of Nice, calling for the resignation of President Milosevic. It was the biggest anti-government rally since the end of NATO's bombing raids. The people said they'd suffered 11 weeks of misery, lost the war and lost Kosovo. Leading them was Vuk Drašković, who was sacked as Serbia's deputy prime minister for his outspoken sentiments. Now as head of the Serbian renewal movement, he called on the country's leaders to become the political past to give Yugoslavia a future. 4,000 more protesters turned out for a rival rally in Sombor. Members of the Alliance for Change nominated a popular former central bank governor, who was also sacked by Milosevic, to lead a transitional government. But the president, who held a cabinet meeting to discuss recent events, shows no signs of giving way. He still controls the federal army, the police and the state-run media. Terry Lloyd, ITN.
World leaders have begun arriving in Morocco for the funeral of King Hassan. The Prince of Wales and the Foreign Secretary Robin Cook have flown out to represent Britain. The 70-year-old king, who died on Friday, had ruled the North African state since 1961. Cricket now, and at Lord's, England are struggling to survive in the second test against New Zealand. Injured captain Nasser Hussain will not bat in the second innings, and when play began this morning, his side was still 65 runs behind. A short time ago, they'd lost another wicket, Dean Headley for 12. England are on 127 for 6. That's 45 runs behind. That's it for now. I'll be back at 6:45. Join me then.
Good afternoon. I'll try and tempt you outdoors with a fine dry day in a minute, but if you're determined to stay in, I quite understand. There's another Formula One race coming up on ITV. From Austria, the A1 ring, the weather looks like being dry and pretty warm, the mid-20s, 25 there. But there is a chance of a shower. Most likely, I think the shower's turning up after the race is finished, hopefully. Back home, it is dry for most of us. A lot of cloud around in the north and northwestern parts of Britain, patches of cloud across some central areas too, but generally dry, only isolated showers in the far north. And in the north, the temperatures are doing fairly well, between 16 and 20. But in the south, it's another hot day, especially down towards the south coast, where you've got almost unbroken sunshine. 28 is a hot 82. Here's tomorrow's weather.
Power Gen. Power, whatever the weather.